What's a funny memory you have that if you told someone, they'd think you're lying? A friend once called the wrong number, got the wrong house, and had the right person pick up. So, I was at work, replacing a modem for my boss. I'd removed the modem and connected a telephone to test that it had dial tone. Soon after, the phone rang. It didn't make much sense, because that phone line had only been used for outgoing calls from the computer. When I picked up, the person on the other line just said, "Hey man, you want to see a movie later?" I recognized the voice, too. It was a friend of mine. I was really confused for a second and said something like, "Josh? How did you get this number?" He said he called my home phone number. He must have misdialed my number, and accidentally dialed the number for my boss's modem line, at work. He called the wrong number, got the wrong house, and the right person picked up, on a phone that had only been connected for 2 minutes in the past 2 years. The odds must be astronomical. It's just a weird coincidence that I'll always remember. When I was ditching first period in HS, a cop was in front of me at 7-Eleven. The cashier couldn't break his $50, so I paid for his coffee with my stuff. He thanked me, we jabbed about me being late to school, and I noticed the tattoo on his neck, and we joked about bad decisions. 2 weeks later I get caught in a speed trap, and who sticks his head in my window? And he went, "Coffee girl." And I went, "Tat neck." And got let off with a finger shake. For some reason when I read finger shake I imagined him holding out his finger and you shaking it like a handshake. I was the brockest I have ever been, living in the middle of nowhere. I was pulling my last $20 out of a gas station ATM. I hit the button and it spit out $60. I was only charged $20 on my account. It sounds like such a tall tale, but I swear it happened. I tripped and fell at the same corner outside Subway 3 different times years apart, and the same guy tried to catch me every single time. Edit. Okay, I keep getting loads of soulmate, marriage comments, so to clarify, I was 7 the first time this happened. This was a grown man, LMAO. Edit 2. This man is not a stalker or pedophile. Him and my mum would recognize each other because she was with me each time. Yes, he fell trying to catch me, but it was funny, so it's okay. And no, this was not the underground train type of subway, I mean the sandwich shop. He did not work there, and no, he isn't homeless. Fucksake. Getting a lot of the same BS comments. And no, he wasn't tripping me, we would be walking opposite directions. And no, his name isn't Robbie. An eagle came for my face as a child. I was about 8. I ducked and it ended up grabbing my hair and taking some with it. I ran inside crying and told my mom. She didn't believe me, so I never told anyone else. I'm 22. I used to go to uni with this guy named Sam. Sam was a pretty quirky guy. We had classes together twice a week and were pretty new friends. Anyway, I was walking down the strip of shops between the dorms and the campus and I see Sam across the road. I walk up to him, say hi, be friendly. After a short conversation, I excuse myself and say, "Bye Sam, I'm not Sam bullfucking shit. It's Sam." Talks the same way, held the conversation fine, I noticed nothing different. He claims to be Sam's identical twin brother. I call Sam on his bullshit pretending to be his own twin is the kind of shit I'd expect out of Sam after knowing him for 3 months. No, he insists. He's not Sam. Fucking prove it, Sam. I make this complete stranger who has no idea who I am pull out photo identification, like I'm the campus police. Is it Sam? Nope. Identical twin brother, that Sam just never mentioned. What the fuck? How have I known this guy for 3 months and not know about his twin brother? I bet this asshole has set me up. I go and confront Sam about it before our lecture later in the day. I tell him the story. Bull fucking shit, says Sam. He doesn't believe my story. He doesn't believe I'd interrogate his brother and thinks I'm making shit up. I swear, it's all true, I say. Prove it, he says. He calls his brother. Motherfucker says he has no idea what Sam's talking about. Sam's brother continues to claim to not recognize me for like 7 more months until their birthday party. The only time I'd ever manage to get them in the same place, and Sam's twin makes me show my ID when I rock up to the party. Well, it finally all comes up well after everyone but Sam's twin forgot about it. Funny fucking bastards. Identical in every way. Got stuck in a bank for the night. When the bank is closed, you can still get to the ATM thanks to a security door. Once inside, the door decided to stop working. No phone, no emergency button. Just waited here for hours till someone in the street saw me trough the glass and called someone. Did you get stuck in there with Victoria's Secret supermodel Jill Goodacre? Before my husband and I were married, but had been dating for a long while, I was watching Portlandia and bam, there's my husband on screen. Dumbfounded, I called him and he casually said, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that." I had a pet hummingbird as a kid. My mom found it injured on a sidewalk and nursed it back to health. It only had one eye and no depth perception, so we kept it inside. We'd let it buzz around the room, land on us, and all that jazz. My brother told his teacher about it, in 3rd grade. And the teacher actually called my mom and was like, "Your son has made up a crazy story and insists it's real." Reality was we had a pet hummingbird, and that seemed crazy enough people didn't believe it. I was walking on a biking trail when a woman rode past me on her bicycle. I yelled out, "Keep the pedal to the metal." Not 2 seconds later I hear an awful metallic noise and turn to see the poor woman's pedal mechanism had fallen apart. She told me, "You shouldn't have said that." I apologized profusely and asked if she needed any help. Naturally she didn't, not from me anyway. The fact that she seemed to blame you for the accident makes this so much funnier. I once checked in at a restaurant and gave the hostess my name to hold my slot. She then asked for my last name since the person below shared my first name. When I told her my last name, she looked at me like I was lying. The person below had my first and last name. She laughed and introduced us, and we took a pic. I've never met someone with my same first and last name since. I was playing 8-ball at a bar one night. I'm not very good, just play for fun. I'm on a slight winning streak. My next opponent racks them, and I break. 8-ball goes in on the break, so it's an automatic win. Dude refuses to leave the table, continues to put quarters in and racks again. I'm like, "Dude, you lost, there's like 8 people in line to play next." He's drunk and being stubborn and won't leave. So I break again. And the 8-ball drops again. Dude walks away without saying a word. I went to see Mitch Hedberg do stand-up. We stayed around a while hoping to see him leaving. He never materialized though, so my husband and I walked towards our car. As we were walking we heard a woman yell from an ally, "Hey! Mitch Hedberg is back here signing autographs." We walked around the corner behind a scary old building. It was like 1 a.m. and pretty dark. There was Mitch Hedberg and no other fans. Just him and his wife, who had been the one to yell about autographs. He was very high and super lovey. He hugged my husband and me and told us what his fans mean to him. He took pictures of us for his scrapbook page online. He was also hilarious. We were just there behind a building at 1 a.m. with Mitch Hedberg and his wife laughing and hugging deep into the wee hours. When I tell people this they go silent and I'm not sure why. I figure they don't believe it. Back in middle school I was walking back to class after lunch when someone chucked something down the hallway as hard as they could. My natural instinct was to jump up and catch it. It was a perfect catch and not a single person saw. It was a mozzarella stick. I tell everyone this, I dunno if someone would think I'm lying about it though. But it's just too funny for it to be real, in my opinion. Roommate walked in and said, "Did you hear about Steve?" I said, "Unless he's dead, I don't want to hear about it." There was a moment of silence. Followed by, "Tiffany. Sure enough. He's dead. Edit. My name is Tiffany. And me and the guy ended on bad terms, but I did grieve his death and he is still in my thoughts every so often." OMG, you reminded me of this. When I started high school, my family had just moved to a new state and I was a weird kid with a weird family who didn't know anyone, and then, just before Halloween, my mom died by suicide. Being a weird kid, I decided that the thing to do was wear all black when I went back to school a couple of days later. In my choir class, a couple of girls who liked to pick on me looked me over and one said, "Nice outfit, who died?" I can't lie. I got a bit of a thrill from replying my mother and watching her face turn red when another kid confirmed it. I forgive you, Vicky P. I was in elementary school, during recess, just kinda daydreaming and looking at some ravens flying overhead, when one of them suddenly took a nosedive. Right into an open trash can. So of course I rush over there to check it out, but the raven was just gone out of nowhere. I was not the only PNE who saw it though, another kid came rushing over as well, and that's how I met my best friend for the next 4 years. Come to find out your friend was the raven the entire time. My sister being bullied by a parrot calling her names. I did pet shop work in college and got asked to fill in a few graveyard shifts at a nearby store. Just me alone unloading and stocking. There was an African gray parrot in there, and before I started to make a bunch of noise with the forklift and pallet jack, I went up and tried to give it a calm hello so it wouldn't be startled by me moving around. I've always been fascinated by them. It just slowly turned its neck, like an ancient magic statue, looked me in the eye, and went, meh. Then just as slowly turned back. Hardest burn I've ever gotten. Lol, African greys are so smart. Mine loves men but hates women for some reason. She's a rescue. My wife will walk past her cage and say hi and she responds with hello, but as my wife walks away, it's a low quiet bitch. I think it's funny as hell. Wife, not so much. There's a pet shop down the road from me that has a 40-year-old cockatoo, Peaches, and a rescued macaw, Einstein. The first time I went in there, Peaches was hanging upside down in his cage, saying, hello. Hello. Hi. Hello. As people walked by and gave him scritches. Einstein eventually fluffed up his feathers and said, shut up Peaches. Then went back to pretending to be asleep also. Einstein is definitely not a social bird, and wants nothing to do with his admirers like Peaches does. So I watched a couple of people try to get his attention so they could pet him. This bird looked at them for a minute, then closed his eyes and started making very theatrical and very fake snores until they left him alone. I dated a girl in high school who owned a parrot. The first time I came over to her house to have dinner with the family, it said, "Another one bites the dust," as soon as I walked in. Bird sat an African grey. He would walk up to you, lean over, say goober, and walk away. The bird was a grouch. I have a parrot life partner. I've had him since I was 11, and I'm 43 now. He still speaks in my dead father's voice. He also picked up the phrase "I like your butt" followed by giggles in my mom's voice as her new partner as a cyclist. He also liked to bully my son by yelling "die" at him because of my son playing video games near him. He would make my son cry and go to his room and just laugh. Living with a parrot is pretty surreal. My mom has 3 African greys, though only one at the time of this story. Neighbor came over and asked if my dad was home so they could go swim in our pool. My mom said no, but go ahead and go swimming by yourself if you want. Neighbor starts swimming and hears from inside, "Bob. Bob. Fake." But my dad's name, being called from inside. Neighbor goes in and says, "I thought you said he wasn't home?" My mom says, "He's not." Neighbor goes back to the pool, hears her calling Bob. Again. So he goes back in and she verifies my dad isn't home. Then she realizes it was the parrot. Parrots also mimic voices, so it sounded like my mom's voice calling my dad. My friend had an African grey. It bonded to her mom and would regularly get pissy with the dad because jealousy. Didn't stop it from learning to call the family dog with the dad's voice just so the confused dog would stand under its perch and it could shit on the dog. We taught it to bark jingle bells. Mother-in-law had a grey. His perch was next to the phone in the living room. Little asshole would mimic the sound of the phone ringing and somebody would pick up the phone every time and say, "Hello." The bird would then answer with, "Hello," and start laughing at his victim. My nana once adopted this parrot from a lady that passed away, and that parrot was mean and vulgar. My only real memories of it all consist of the parrot whistling, calling the dog, then cussing it out. So it would go, whistle noise asterisk, Trico, the dog, come here boy. Then, Trico, like the good boy he was, would trot up to the cage every single time. Then the parrot would scream, "Get the F at % and outta here." Then just start dropping every cuss word it knew. Then a few minutes later, it would do it all over again. My nana eventually had to get rid of it because it just never ended lol. We used to live in an apartment complex where the apartment buildings were arranged around a big pond. Every morning I would take the dog for a walk around the pond. And frequently I would hear the trash truck beeping but never did see it. I told my husband about it, that it was weird that the trash truck came almost every morning. Well, one morning I was out walking and there was a big old red macaw sitting in his cage on his human's patio, and he was making the trash truck beeping sounds I'd been hearing. Every morning he was doing the trash truck beeping sounds. I was driving a friend home to Indianapolis from Holy Cross in South Bend. We got pulled over for speeding and the cop asked me, "Son, do you know how fast you were going?" To which I replied with a straight face and no sarcasm, "Well, my cruise control was set at 88, so I'm guessing somewhere in the vicinity of 88. I've never seen such a confused look on a person's face. He proceeds to ask if I can step out of my vehicle and into his so he can talk to me while he writes me a ticket. I comply, and as he's writing me up he's explaining to me how he had to do his sheriff training in Indianapolis. He said that the one thing that amazed him was how fast locals drive, especially on I-465, and he understands why I'm conditioned to do so. Soon as he's done with the ticket he turns to me and says, "So here's the deal. You're the first motorist to ever admit to me you knew you were speeding, so I'm gonna cut you a break. If you can make it back to Indy without getting another ticket, I won't turn this one in. But if you do, you're getting 2 feet." I slowed down for the rest of the drive. My doctor asked me once if I'd had a digital rectal exam yet. I responded, "Show. They are digital now." Then I looked over to see him lubing his digits. So I worked for the IRS collecting taxes several years ago. I had seized someone's car and the IRS salespeople were in the process of selling it. IRS procedures around some of this stuff are ancient. One of the procedures are to post a notice of sale in 3 public locations. So I go to the library to post a notice of sale. The person on the ground floor says that I'll have to talk to Steve on the 2nd floor to see if it's okay for me to post the notice of sale on the bulletin board. I walk up the stairs and see a guy sitting at the desk. Me. "Are you Steve?" "Steve? Who's asking?" "The IRS?" In a playful manner. Me. Less than long pause greater than yes, in fact. "My name is XXXXXX. Steve." Less than just about falls out of his chair greater than Jesus Christ. I've been using that joke for 20 years. I never thought anyone would ever say yes. Started college. Saw my brother's best friend on campus, from a distance. Hard to miss. Nate's 6'6", skinny, long brown hair. Fitting of our childish friendship, I straight up open field tackle the guy. From behind. Blindsided. It's not Nate. I apologize and sheepishly run away. 3 hours later, a girlfriend from high school introduces her new boyfriend to a group of us. It's the guy the first tackled. Danny. Super nice, and forgiving, guy. We've been friends for 15 years. Not that I remember it personally, but I was born in a helicopter on Christmas. When I was a kid I used to say I was twins with Jesus because we came from above on the same day. I don't mention it unless someone asks because I know it sounds insane. This was a couple years ago, but I pulled up to a stop light, and another vehicle in the next lane also comes to a stop. The car is filled with what looks like high school kids. The kid in the passenger seat notices me, taps on his window and starts doing the universal sign for rock, paper, scissors. I look at the light, which is still red, and immediately think fuck it and play along, so we start. 1. Point 2. Point 3. Shoot and we tie. Point 1. Point 2. Point 3. Shoot, we tie again. This keeps happening. All the young kids in the other car are involved and are screaming like woo-ah every time we tie. We literally got off like 15 rounds of rock, paper, scissors and tied every single time until the light turned green. I'm still high from that and hope all those guys are doing well. Was contract programming, dropping into the office every Friday. The assistant QA dude was there to take my work. Who died and left you in charge? Jeff died 2 days ago. Shocked face. I got stung by a platypus. Tried to conquer the tri-state area again?